All right, the last bit that we're going to do here is the variable. It's not the last bit, but the other things that we need to do are so simple. But the last bit of instruction is going to be doing variables similar to how we did that in Captivate. So here's what I'm going to do. Again, I need to add a slide. So I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to go to New Slide. I'm going to say a blank one again. But you see it's down here. So I have a comic, I have a tab. I want this to be intro, so I'm going to say intro. But it's down here, and I want it to be on top. What I can easily do is just grab this. See how it moves? You see that blue arrow kind of looking thing? I think I can do that. There we go. So you can just move and arrange things accordingly over here, as you see. Whether or not you decide to put your tabbed interaction before or after your comic, that's all up to you. And it doesn't really matter because, again, you can move it accordingly over here. Just drag and drop it. So here I want to do is add the interface. Yeah? Not interface, the variable, which is an introduction. So I'm not going to get into doing a title slide. You've seen all that. You've done all that in Captivate. And, of course, with your knowledge in the comic strip, you're going to know exactly how to do that in here. So I'm just going to say this. It's blue. I need it to be orange, just like everything else I do. I'm just going to say welcome. And I'm going to put in a text box. We've done that before right here. Just simply click text box, draw it, and say, please enter your name in the provided box below. And I'm going to say input box, so they know that's on there. Okay? Drag this about like this. I like to do this too, so I want everything to be centered on this slide. So I like to make my text box the whole length of the screen. That way I know it's absolutely positively in the center. Little things that don't really matter, but I like to share. So it says, please enter your name. So we need to find an input text box, right? So I'm going to go to Insert, and we cruise through the interface at the top, characters, photos, all of those things. And here we go, we see input. See that? So when I click on that, I can come down here and I see data entry. They're giving me the option of either A, text, or B, number. So I'm going to hit text. And then just like in Captivate, I draw, and there you go. This is a normal box that I can go up here and format any color that I want. So I just like there to be a white, and I do want to see a black background there. I do need to grab a next button. Command C, Command V, and I'll put that down there. I'm going to keep that hidden, but I am going to get rid of that goes with it. I don't want to deal with that just yet. Make sure, yes I do. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to see here is that when I put this input text box in here, it went ahead and put a text entry in my trigger. And already it came with that, set text entry equal to the typed value when the control loses focus. Meaning, when I click out of this box, it's going to update this text entry. Well, I don't know what text entry is or what it means, so what I want to do is create my own variable. And all I have to do is double click on this. See that? When I double clicked on this trigger that was over here, this trigger wizard came up and it's saying set variable. I don't want a variable called text entry because I might have several input text boxes. I want it to be called username, so I get to type username. I do want it to be text, and I do want it to be empty, and I'm just going to hit OK. And then I'm going to hit OK again. You see the moment I did that, when you come back over here, it says set username equal to the typed value. So now anything that I type into here is going to update that variable username, which just like in Captivate, I can call to. I'm going to come down to this next slide, and oh, hello. See this first one here? She's saying something. I want her to say hello to me. So I'm going to say, oh, hello, comma, and not $$ like in Captivate, it's the %, username, %. So you should not be surprised by anything that you've just seen there. Oh my, that text got really big. Yeah, I guess that's how big it is. Okay. So you should not be surprised by anything that you've seen here because you're probably just correlating it with Captivate, right? So instead of $, in the name of the variable, it's %, name of the variable, %. So let's try that. But before I do that, I want to do this. So this next button, I don't want it to show up until they've actually done something here. So I'm going to do that again. I'm going to say add, no. I'm going to add a new. Change state of, again, next button. I want to change it to normal, but I don't want it to change to normal until just like that variable update, until they lose focus on this box. So I'm going to go here and look and look and look, and says there it is, control loses focus. And then they're going to ask me on what, and then I can say that text entry. Does that make sense? So there's two things that are going to happen when they click outside of this box. The next button is going to show, and it's going to update the variable. Okay? But I do also want to jump to slide, next slide, and user click next button. Okay. So I'm going to say preview this scene now, because I want to make sure I can get to the next slide. And it says, welcome, please enter your name. Oh, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say BRIANJ. When I click out of it, you see the next button shows. I click next, and then there she is. I don't have to even do a darn thing, but she's saying, oh, hello, Brian J. Have you seen Paul? Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that fantastic? And here's, of course, what I want to do. You notice every time that I create a new slide, by default, it puts my previous and next on there. I don't want that. Because remember, our goal, I know this is very storyline-y for those of you that might be familiar with it, but our goal is to make sure that it looks like it's not done in storyline. Here we go. I'm going to do it again. And even if I put my full name, Brian J. Seeley, oh, darn it. You're going to get that error if you want to jump to the next slide, but you've only previewed this slide. So if you're looking to navigate to multiple slides, make sure you either do this scene or entire project. So when I go to this scene, I can now type my full name, as I said, click next, and it made it, just adapted it accordingly and added my full name. So if your name is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, it's still going to make enough room within this text box to accept your name. So that's one way to do a variable. I don't want to get too crazy into the next one, so I'm going to make it optional. So stand by.